Now, for me, success means just doing what I want to do without any restrictions or constraints and living my life the way that feels the most authentic, I guess. Authentic, or like in a way that I feel most aligned with myself and being very audacious about it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mapping the Journey. I am here today with my friend Anda. Hello Anda.
Hello. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. This episode promises to be very insightful because I'm with the insightful Anda. Do not touch that dial and let's get started. Anda, first of all, I want to ask how this week was for you.
Yeah, so it's been up and down, but generally, I think right now I'm like really good.
Mm,
So like the week has been quite shaky, but yeah, we're here. It's all
okay.
good. How about you?
Cool. My week has been good. I was under the weather for quite a while
Yeah.
last week, but this week I got better. I try to get back my schedule. I'm talking about schedule and
Mhm.
how do you get on your day? Do you do the meditations, the journaling, and all of that?
Okay, so for me, generally, I used to journal like in mornings, but now it's a bit less so. But I do like gratitude practice in the morning. There's like an app I use that just
Hmm.
guides you through the whole thing.
An
Just
app for gratitude practice.
yeah. It's generally I think it's for mindfulness. So
Hmm.
yeah, you meditate. You can like it has a lot of modules like guided meditation modules. That was like the first. That was what like was my first ever experience with meditation and journaling. I'm sorry, and gratitude
Gratitude
practice. Yeah,
practice. Okay.
yeah.
This might, we always talk about being mindful, being centered, being grounded. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the crux of all of the mindfulness and being grounded?
I
To you, what it
yeah.
means and how it's been.
Okay, so for me, it's generally quite the major um idea of it is to help you be a little more in charge of your mind, so you can
Mm,
like react. You can respond to life rather than react to it. So that's
cool.
how I would like generally put it. So it makes you a bit more aware of your surroundings, of yourself, of your internal states. Know what like maybe triggers you, makes you a bit more uncomfortable and out of your element. And with more practice, you get to a point where you get a hang of like returning to yourself and not really get lost in all the noise and chaos that
Mm.
surrounds you.
So how long have you been doing this meditation thing?
Um, I I would say maybe like I don't know, maybe like 2 years, 3 years. I don't
Wow,
know. Yeah,
2 years.
but not like I've been off and
And
on.
on.
Yeah,
Do you feel any relief or any kind of impact after meditation?
yeah, definitely. So
Is it like a
it's
physical thing
yeah,
or
it is, but it's not as the impact didn't really hit immediately when I first got introduced to it. So it was like it took a couple, let's say a month before I started to see that okay, I'm a little more in control of my focus. Like I
mm,
can control like I have more what's the word, discipline over what I give my attention to. Yeah, so it took it like a moment for that to happen, or to start seeing my thoughts, or my brain rather directs my thoughts to what I would normally consciously and actively want to engage with, rather than whatever noise is
yeah,
being
yeah,
thrown
yeah.
at me. So yeah, but it takes a while. But after a while, like it becomes the impact of it becomes more apparent immediately.
I
Yeah.
think what you described is more like a mental effect.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Is
definitely.
there like any physical effect to that?
Okay,
Like do
so
you start feeling lighter?
oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I think that's one of the most I think that effect comes more quickly than even the
Are
mental
you
one. Yeah.
serious?
So like I
Wow.
can't speak for everybody though, but
For you, of
generally,
course.
yeah, I would say that it comes quickly. You start feeling like after some practice, you feel a little more centered, a little more present. For someone like me who like had the tendency to be looking ahead and looking into the future, like it's something
Mm.
that brings me back into the present and makes me okay, okay, you're here, you're there's a lot of good things around you, and like why don't you engage with it and be happy here rather
Right.
than looking ahead for something else to be
Mm.
happy about.
Right. This takes me to another talk about future and ambition and all
Mm,
of that. I feel like we in this generation are more ambitious than
okay.
I don't know. I feel like we are okay. Maybe it's because of the people I'm around. I feel like everybody's building something. Everybody's
Mm,
trying to be more for you. Because I know that you are also an ambitious person. I mean, you even talked about it here. Do you think it's innate, or do you think these days everybody wants to build something because everybody's seeing people building stuff online?
okay. So I would say that uh, for me, I think drive has always been there. Yeah, drive to max out my potential, drive to do more. But I would also say that like seeing what people do, like what other ambitious people have been doing, sort of gives me a view of the landscape and tells me that okay, this is what is possible. So maybe you might want to try and like do more or surpass that because like this is the bar.
Mm,
Do you
mm,
understand? So or sometimes it just inspires that okay, if a person could do this, then why can't you do that? Why can't you like strive for more and stuff like that? So that's mostly the effect it had on me. But I do know that also like humans, we are very mimetic animals, like we mimic each other. So there are a lot of people that would also who probably aren't as driven to certain things, right? They might want to get more into, let's say, building stuff or s- just starting maybe a business, starting just doing something as opposed to,
being
uh,
the change makers and being
yeah,
the ones on the pedestal people are looking at there.
yeah,
But what do you think about them though? Do you think that's fine? Do you think
people like,
people who are not like they don't care about being the Elon Musk of the
yeah, yeah, I
future,
feel you.
what do you think about people like that?
I think it's totally fine. Like just like you, I think I tend to oscillate between both, and I'm also trying to like embody both. One of the mantras that I learned from a friend of mine is I contain multitudes, and
Hmm.
like it's like you can be just about anything, and I feel like that's something that works for me, and I think it's also okay for people who just want to do their own thing while the world is like going crazy. I feel like those people they still have goals. I think as humans we can't really exist without goals. So they have these goals. It's just what's more important to you? Is it like there are people who care more about fame, there are people who care about leaving a legacy, there are people who want money for means, there are people who care about freedom. So you just have to know what you want and then make sure you're living like you're moving
Then you're
in that
happy.
trajectory. Do you get? So that's how I think. That's how I think about it. So I don't really think there's anything wrong. To be honest, I sometimes don't. I don't think we as individuals know what like some other person's goal and all of that is. So I just like I'm just focused on my own.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think what
right.
what happens is that because of what everybody feels, what everybody sees as a goal worth having,
Yeah,
people now tend to downplay what other people's priorities are. And then and I think we're even pressured by the fact that if we set little goals, we would not be perceived as
as
being
word,
ambitious, right?
word.
So I agree with you. You don't need to be out there. You don't need to be like the Elon or the likes
Who says
to.
Elon is successful? I mean, like he could
Mm,
feel like he's not
mm,
a success. Who knows? So you
right
get
to himself.
yeah.
I don't think
So
so though. But yeah, this takes me to the next talk about success, right?
okay.
How do you define success, and has it changed over the years, or yeah, has that always been how you've seen it?
Okay. So for me, success used to be very huge milestone. Like at different phases in my life, I think success meant different things.
Hmm.
So with whatever field I was in, success was like attaining the peak of that field. But now, for me, success means just doing what I want to do without any restrictions or constraints and living my life the way that feels the most authentic, I guess. Authentic or like in a way that I feel most aligned with myself and being very audacious about
Okay,
it.
so it doesn't. Does it have anything to do with the like end of whatever goal you are?
So currently, no, because
Mm,
it's more like if I'm very in tune with that thing that I want to do, if I'm already on the path of getting it, I already feel successful. Like
mm,
there were though it like I dabble in and out of that mindset, but most of the time when I'm in that mindset, what happens is and those when I'm in flow, I'm like, it really doesn't matter if I get the outcome I'm looking for or not, or if I die in the course of getting there. But I know that at this point I'm so fulfilled and I could die happy. So that's like what success is to me at the
right now.
moment. Yeah.
Was
Just
he
being
always like this though?
no, it wasn't. So there were times where the outcome was what I justified the means by.
Mm,
Um, so even times where I would win at a certain endeavor and I would still feel horrible for it because maybe I looked for something that I hadn't done right or something that I hadn't really done or achieved and I would feel small for that and then it became this endless cycle of never reaching like never perfectly achieving a thing but when after trying time and again, I realized that okay, this is torturous. Like I can't live like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
and yeah, it just led to understanding that finding new metrics to measure success
Success,
by.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's insightful, and I totally agree with that. I think it's a better way to go about life in general, right?
mm.
Growing up for you, would you see yourself? Would you say that you were like a high achiever?
Okay,
Before at the time, you we like measure our achievements by how good we
performed.
performed in
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
how good your grades were. Would you say you were a high achiever in school at the time?
I would say at a certain point, yes. Like in my early years in school,
Mm,
I actually would have, yeah, I was one that you could have called
mm.
a high achiever. I think in like my primary school days, then secondary school came, I had other
Priorities.
priorities in my like junior years, and then in my senior years, I had to like sit up and then became good again,
Mm,
like I was performing well. But the university era was like quite humbling. It
mm.
was one where I struggled a bit, trying to adapt to the system, and also it was just very hard. I was really humbled,
Mm.
but after a while, I got to find that groove again. But I wouldn't say that even in those years that I was like a high achiever or anything. I just know that I was performing to
Yeah,
a decent level, and I was really happy with what I could do. It was more so, less so about the metrics, like about grades, and became more about like understanding concepts and just like exploring these things and realizing that wow, the on the seeing how knowledge could be applied. That was
yeah,
basically
yeah.
what I started to see as something to aspire to, right? It became the things that I measured success by.
You know why I'm asking this? Because there are people who, because of how great they were in their secondary, university, nursery school
Yeah,
days, they set a kind of standard in their minds as to how they should turn out in university and even life afterwards, right?
that's. I think I relate to that.
That's what
So
I was going to
yeah,
ask you.
yeah.
Do you think that's like a thing for you?
Oh,
And how did you break free from that
mm, I
expectation of yourself and what you even think? Because sometimes people think that their parents and other their family members would have expectations of them that they feel obligated to meet because of how great they were in
I get it.
achieving things in those formative and secondary years.
Okay, so I think definitely I had these expectations of myself, and my family, they had expectations of me as well, but that really wasn't the thing that drove me. It wasn't because I was trying to like meet their
Mm,
expectations. My expectations were already crazy high that it
yeah,
was already doing the most,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I did have these high expectations, and there were moments where I I didn't feel like I was meeting them. And there were moments, of course, where I was meeting them. But I would say that the defining ones were the ones where I wasn't. Like, I would give you an example. So, like, I always thought that I could quickly learn things. That
Mm,
was like the idea I had. Or I can really just learn things fast. And then I think there was this time when one of the phases of my life where I like picked up a guitar and was trying to learn, and man, that was it was the most humbling experience ever,
mm,
because first off, my fingers could not, like, it just needs a lot of practice. That guitar playing is like the hardest, one of the hardest things ever. So I had to learn how to, like, build muscle memory for how to hold the strings right. Was And I was having blisters on my fingers and still doing it, and I remember playing and thinking that it doesn't sound right. It always sounded so funny, but yeah, it took a long time for it to start making sense. And that was one of the things that I tried that made me question that notion I had of myself, of my abilities. Yeah. And then there were other moments, like I said, in getting into the university, it was crazy. It was just like catching up all the time. I think in the earlier years at I could still meet up with the academic demands because like you were allotted some ample time to like do certain things,
mm,
but in the university everything just comes
mm.
one, like, just hits you all at once. So
Once,
that was
yeah.
something I struggled with. And also I wasn't like my like I needed to have done some mental work to like get me ready to assimilate. So like I wasn't in that headspace at all. So
Now,
I
yeah,
struggled a
you
lot.
struggle. I get that
Yeah,
you struggled, but thing is, was it like a shock to you that
very much so.
that you that were doing so well
Very much
in?
so.
Did you intentionally like look through to get through that, or you just there was no time to even process
Oh my
that
god.
feeling? I just had to
I had to adapt one way
adapt.
or another. So I remember there was this time where we were taking this very crazy course, and it was a calculus course. And by the way, I skipped maths in my final year in secondary school, so it was like crazy. And we had to take it wasn't even calculus, it was trigonometry, and
Mm,
this lecturer was like making us feel like we would never pass the
I can
course.
imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so I remember us, my friends and I, we hired somebody to like walk us through, and we actually paid this guy to teach us, and he was teaching, and everybody else were getting it, and I was just like, bro, am I dumb? Yeah,
Yeah,
well, like, it was crazy, but the biggest shock I'd ever experienced when it comes to my abilities or
to
anything.
learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but after a while, like, I guess I scratched the surface
Mm,
and then started to assimilate. And also, I think generally these things, just the shock was just so huge because I had grown with a certain mentality. Yeah, I think
Yes, yes,
we're
yes.
I think over time though, with trying and failing at things, I
You know,
realized
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you
It's
can
normal,
actually
yeah.
fail. Yeah, and when you
And it's okay
fail,
to,
yeah,
yeah.
you can actually fail and it's okay and you can pick yourself back up. So I think with all of those things, I started to realize that oh, you don't really suck at the thing when you try and fail, that you can actually just keep bouncing back up and then you finally get it.
Mm,
And then I got to learn about growth mindset and all of that. I realized that okay, the earlier mindset I was operating on wasn't like
the great, yeah.
the best way to go about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And this is one like aspect of the thing where you get shocked that, man, the whole me, I can't grasp this. And then even the most jarring one is when you for some people, right, when they are
Mhm.
done with uni, done with everything, and then they now face real life, they are now faced with the realities, right, of
Yeah.
life that, man, this is not uni, it's it's a jungle out here
Yeah.
where you try to get jobs, you don't get the the kinds of jobs you want to get. And again, people have this standards for the kinds of job they want to get. Maybe not necessarily because that's what they want, but because that's where they think.
The money is
Not even that,
or
because they feel like they are too good. Like,
oh okay, okay.
do you get?
Yeah, I understand.
Imagine, just like what you said about feeling that I can't get this thing right in school,
Yeah.
right? Because you know how good you are, right? But maybe something at that point wasn't right. You get That's how some people would feel when they are done with school, and then these jobs that they're applying to. Why am I not getting this job now?
Right.
I'm bright enough. Why am I? But it's not just about the intelligence and
Word.
the you get. So I feel like people should give themselves more grace
Great.
and more time, right, for to get into the spaces that they want to get into. Yeah. This also takes me to the talk about validation, right?
Okay.
Because even people validate themselves based on the fact that yes, they've applied to this job and they've gotten it, right? Do you like care about validation from people?
I would say, that's a good one. I don't. I actually care and don't care. You get like if
Mm,
I'm very conscious and very um aligned with myself, yeah, it wouldn't really matter what people have to say, and which is like a state that I'm closer to lately. I'm closer to more than I am apart from it. You get
yeah,
so lately it's been me trying to um make sure that validation is coming from within
within
rather than from
external,
external.
yeah,
Yeah. So I would say that I would like to say I don't depend on external validation, but of course it does matter to get some feedback from the environment,
mm,
some feedback from people. So I think a healthy level of external validation is actually okay.
yeah,
Like people you care about to have perspective from people who are not you.
mm-hmm.
So that's fair, yeah. But generally, I try not to get validation from outside.
Now I want us to be practical about these things,
Yeah.
right? Okay, let's put it in perspective of workplace,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
In that sense, validation might come from your boss,
Fair.
right? In that
I
case,
care about validation.
yeah, in that case, I think you should care about validation
Yeah.
from your
Yeah.
boss.
Fair.
But
Feedback.
yeah, maybe let's call it feedback, right?
Yeah.
And then do with it what you should, right? But the bad one for me is um caring about what people think about your success level in life, because
Fair.
I think some people are in the state where they are trying to grow in terms of career, in terms of mental, physical, and all. but because somebody so and their aim is to make people
Mm-hmm.
feel that okay they have grown,
Fair.
if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get it.
And I find it very funny because why personally I do not I detach myself from that kind of mindset is because I find that it's a never ending cycle because when you grow and people validate it and are like, wow, this guy is doing so well. You get to a state where everybody around you are doing well just like you are, and then you now want to
Up it.
up it,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's a never ending cycle. So I think absolutely what we should do is get validation from ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I want to talk about something we had talked about before, but in
Okay.
private.
Hits me.
Yeah, that would be about manifestation and
Ooh, my favorite
and
topic.
and, and hard work, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this thing and we've come to a common ground. It just feels like we
Did
are.
we though?
Yeah, I think we
What?
did.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Let's see. So, what do you think now? Let's talk about it like we've not talked about it before. What do you think about?
Very authentic.
What do you think about manifestation? What would you describe manifestation as? Would you describe it as prophecy? Like,
Let's see. I think I would describe it in a more pragmatic way
mm,
that manifestation is just bringing a vision to life. So you've thought about a particular outcome, and then you you believe in that outcome. You believe like you feel that particular outcome as though it already exists, and then try and embody. If it's something that has to do with you, of course, you try and embody what it's the say mindset you would need to embody to get that outcome, the emotions you'd feel to get that outcome. You try and be everything that it takes to be that person who encounters that outcome right now, and then for some reason you just find yourself walking towards that outcome. It's
like the example we even used that day. Let's
okay.
say you want to make 1 million naira this
Mhm.
year. How
Okay.
would manifestation get you there, Anna?
So I think first, yes, you have to do the work, but what we are saying with manifestation is that if you, it takes, if you just want to have $1 million, is it $1 million
No,
you said?
naira. Oh,
Okay,
let's put it at naira.
if you just want to have $1 million by the end of the year, if that's your
You
goal,
can't manifest it to reality.
you can embody the personality, the version of you that can make $1 million is what I
You're
would say.
saying,
Yes.
how do you do that?
So if you say, okay, I want to make $1 million, and what it takes for me to do that, like what I can see so far is that I have to maybe put in XYZ amount of work. Hold on. If I have to put XYZ amount of work and that would get me to 1 million, that's you just looking at the work you have to do to get to the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
no? And then every day you try and do that work, but it gets to a point where it becomes like, okay, what the hell am I doing? Like, why do I want? Like, why is this hard? When it becomes so hard, why? Like, what's the point? Why did I start this in the first place? But when you have the mentality that okay, I'm a person who earns 1 million, it becomes easier for you to do the work that it takes to achieve that. And I think this is not even audacious enough. So it's harder for me to explain how manifestation gets you there. If it was like a more ambitious goal,
Let's use an example.
yeah. So if you say you want to, let's just say make 100 million in, say, in 10 years.
Okay.
If you wanted to make
Okay.
100 million in 10 years, there's a way you would operate. You have to operate from the mentality of someone who makes 100. Maybe because 1 million just seems so easily gotten, and that was why like it
Okay.
was hard to like put the scenarios in place. But if it's 100 million, you're looking at okay, what does it take for me to be a millionaire, like one that has 100 million in my account? Then
Mm-hmm.
you start you ask when you've asked that question and you don't just try and do the work, but you tell yourself, who am I? I'm a person who makes 100 million. There's a way you move. It's totally different from the person who thinks they just have to do the work. Both might be able to come to the same outcome.
mm,
Fair.
mm, mm,
But with the person who is like involving their identity in the process, which manifestation is highly correlated with involving like thinking to yourself, who am I? Who is the future version of me? And how do I embody that person right now? If you're if you're trying to approach it that way, it becomes easier for you to wake up in the morning and do what that person would do because our brain is more inclined to act in alignment with the identity we have of ourselves. So every day when it gets hard, it doesn't become it's not such a huge problem because you know this is who you are. Like there's no debating it anymore. So your body is more likely to act in accordance. You're more likely it's easier for you to find motivation than the person who just wants who is so focused at the end goal. So
mm.
that's one way I see it.
Okay, so if we, if I want to say it from what I get, can I say, I don't know if you'd agree,
Yeah.
that manifestation is not necessarily just saying things and believing in one thing that, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire in whatever year. It's you, it would help you get there with the mindset of, okay, I need to do the work, but I know that someday I'm going to be this
It's not just
person.
someday. You might have a date in mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah.
time. But what my argument was is, or what my argument is that if we talk about this manifestation, we should
Talk about the work.
always talk about the work, because without work, there is no way on earth you'd get to whatever
No,
manifesting headspace you have right now, you are
fair.
in right now.
So the thing is, I don't think I disagree that without the work. I think we said you repeated hard work, and I was like,
Yes, yes, yes,
exactly,
yes. You know,
hard work,
I've stopped saying hard work, right? But
exactly.
whether I like it or not, it's hard work.
It's not so hard when you're manifesting it. That's my own stance. So it's
Mm,
less hard when you're aligned. If you're like, I could be aiming at a huge task. In fact, those kind of tasks fuel me as long as I'm aligned with myself and I know fully well that this is what I want to do and this I am the person who is right for this task. As long as I'm aligned, nothing can stop me from achieving that goal. So
mm,
alignment is something that makes it super easy, and I think that's highly correlated with manifesting things. If you're trying to manifest a thing, you have to be clear about what you want to do. You
mm,
have to be there. There shouldn't be a doubt in your mind. You have to be so clear that okay, this is what I want to do, and this is who it takes to do this job, and I am that person, and you just go at it.
what if I totally agree with you,
Yeah. No,
totally,
human being.
because because I feel like it even makes it more interesting and less boring for you to have something in your mind, right? Come up with something in your mind and then say, I want to be this thing. How I would approach this thing would be like, okay, I want to be, you know, a a data scientist, for instance,
Hmm.
in the next 2 years, right? Then I'll come up with a plan. What do I need to do? I know I've gotten to work again, but what do I need to do to get to this place, right?
Fair.
And then in my head, I'm like, in the next 2 years, I am going to be a data scientist. I already have that in mind, that I'm sure that in the next 2 years, I'm going to be a data
Yeah.
scientist. Before I get to that point, I know that I must have this skill, that skill, the other skill, and then I write it down and say, okay, from this month to this month, I have to gain experience and expertise in this skill and that skill and that skill. That's the work there.
Okay. We do not disagree on doing the work, but while you're trying to achieve this goal, are you does it energize you? Like,
Yeah,
do you feel?
I would feel good because I know that I'm heading towards the goal of being a data scientist.
Okay.
So even these skills I'm gaining would be something exciting for me, right? But it's not always the
The
case,
case.
right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you will get through some loopholes and it's be very draining and daunting,
Mhm.
and then maybe you want to give up, but you wouldn't because you know what is
You
at the
know.
other end
Now, what's at
of
the other
things.
end? You being a
A data
data,
scientist, yeah.
and when you think about being a data scientist, it gives you joy. It gives you
Yes,
some
yes,
feeling. Yeah.
yes.
I would say that that's manifesting because you're trying to embody the emotions. Like that's the thing that keeps you going. It's not really data scientist. It's just a name. It's
It's
just
just
a
in
title. Yeah.
right
But at that point, you're like going at it because oh my god, I feel so fulfilled.
when
And sometimes when you think about it, the funny thing that I've come to learn about our brains is that when you think about a thing and you try and conjure that emotion or you basically you feel a thing based on what you think about,
mm-hmm.
you actually literally feel it in the moment as though it's happening.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you can feel success, you can feel successful without having done XYZ, you're already successful. So it becomes like you're living in the future. And that's what manifesting is about. So the more you're living in the future, the more you're feeling like that person who is a data scientist, you're more inclined to want to do the work that will get you to be that person. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like manifestation is like covering the gap between
Mm.
the vision you have of yourself and the current reality.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm so happy that you've put in the hard work. Okay, the work there.
Factor
Since
what?
you don't like
Yeah,
the hard work,
yeah.
yeah, and I like it. I like it. But let's get a little it's a little bit delusional here.
I like
What?
it.
Listen.
Right.
What if I want to be a singer, a musician, for
Yeah.
instance? But my voice is horrible. Is that
You don't want to make me look bad.
what would you say about that kind of manifestation? And
Okay, let's think about it. I
is that
think,
not delusion? Nigga, you can't
I
say.
feel like it's my belief and it's a very niche belief. I don't feel free to push back, but I feel like you can literally be anything you want to be if you actually are so invested and so aligned with that idea. So you want to be a singer so bad, you'll find a way to make it work. Like as long as the emotions, the conviction is like as strong as possible. Even if it's surgery, you do something to your body to make it work.
Right,
I just feel
right.
like that's how it is
That's
because
true. That's true. To be
if you look
honest,
at a
yeah.
lot of inventions and things, it's like you have a lot of constraints, and then a person thinks, okay, considering all the information we have on ground, we have this thing doesn't move. This is this kind of matter that doesn't move. This is one that can go around something and what, and then considering all of this, I want to get thing A thing
From here
from point A to
to be
point
here.
B, then you start thinking, and that's where
How do I do?
creativity,
Yeah,
yeah,
comes in.
comes in. So you know the constraints of the game. Your job is to find a way to win.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
get an outcome? And if your
yeah.
goal is so clear, I think anything is possible.
Wow. Do you feel pressured by social media?
To an extent, yes. So social media has a way of swaying you left and right. Yeah. So I think yeah, I though the pressure is way less these
These
days
days?
because
You've worked on
I've
yourself.
worked so hard
Mm,
to make sure that the noise doesn't
get you.
phase me.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, it still pressures even now, but like the extent is so little or way less compared to how it was before. There were times where like in the past where I would like see things, see what people are doing and say, oh my God, uh, I'm not doing enough.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes, I think I'm a the kind of person that is more inspired by good things than I am envious of them.
Of
Do you
them.
understand? So if I see it and I know I can't do anything about it, I'm like, okay, how can I do something? How can I be in line? And if I can't, I don't play games. I don't win. I can't win. So I try as much as possible to play ones where I can win. If I see that you're doing so well, and if the goal is to outdo the next person, and I don't see a clear way to that outcome, bro, I'm playing a different game. I'll find a way to channel my energy into
Mm.
something that fulfills me rather than trying to
Drain
compete
you.
in a
Yeah.
game that is somewhat rigged or that doesn't favor me in any way. Do you
Yeah.
understand? So I say to an extent, social media influences or pressures me.
Pressures, yeah.
Yeah,
Is there anything you do to maybe reduce
the
how
pressure.
much these things get to you? Because if you check this thing out, these guys that built these platforms want us to be stuck there. They want us
Fair.
to remain on our screens, right?
Yeah,
And I think we need to be conscious enough to, you know, withdraw at some point from social media ourselves.
yeah,
Do you do that? How do you do that?
definitely. So I think like I noticed for me that I tend to be anxious after using social media for a while. Like
Wow.
I tend to be a bit more uppity and like too like very just not myself, not so reserved, not so calm when I've consumed a lot of like short form content or I've just been
Mm,
on these
mm,
apps for
mm.
so long and I started to like try and first of all I set limits on the applications and all, but I was always ignoring the limits when I passed them. So yeah, I tried that, didn't work so well. Then I just tried to do other things that give me some sort of fulfillment. Like when I started to like learn or to read stuff
Offline.
offline, yeah, read
Off
some
your
more long
phone.
form things like read a book. I started to,
Yes, yes.
it gave me some perspective that, okay, you can actually derive a lot of value from outside the internet than you think you actually derive on the
And it
internet.
must not even be value as to education. It can even be fun
Fun,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
just fun, just touching grass, being with
With
people.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think over time my brain sort of clocked that you're always on these apps and afterwards you feel shitty and you don't
Yes.
you say you're learning by watching whatever content, but what really do you know from what you from what you looked at?
Right.
Like, and then I would like think I'll be like, okay. But when I've the times where I took a break from social media and just like maybe read a book or just just even did something, not even a book, maybe just an article, just something very short and take my time to consume it. My retention was high. Like I could really understand what I was doing. And I was like, okay, it seems like it's an illusion trying to learn from these short reels and all of
Yeah.
that. And they make you very emotional. Like you see a post that makes you angry, you're angry. You see a
Oh
post
my
that makes you
goodness.
smile, you
Yeah, you
smile.
smile. It's almost
It's
like a switch of
psychopathic
emotion
behavior.
from here and from there to
Yeah,
there in a
yeah.
very short period. Yeah.
So I think my brain just clocked that this thing is unhealthy.
Yes.
And you have to find, like, you feel better when you've done something else that is slow paced, that isn't as
Mm,
triggering, that doesn't trigger your emotion, be it happy or sad, that doesn't trigger your
oh
emotions
God.
that quickly. I think with time, I don't know what came first, but there was a time where I stopped, like, I started to time how much I doom scrolled for and it was a lot of time. And what was so bad about it was after doom scrolling and passing like 2 hours at a go, I realized that I wasn't aware of the time.
You
Like,
would just
yeah, it felt like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, but I've spent like so much doing nothing and
nothing,
then
yeah.
not being able to account for that time. So over time, I just realized that this doesn't make sense. And it was hard, like just trying to find a balance between like more productive time spent and internet time or scrolling time. So when I stopped, like I started to delete the app first of all. I told myself, okay, just delete Instagram and uh, what you can do is you can go on your browser and use Instagram if you
Mm,
want to. So
that
basically
takes
adding
it takes more
friction.
time to
Yeah,
get there and get out.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I did that and I was going on the internet and trust me, it helped a lot because it's so hard to scroll to watch reels on a
On
browser.
web,
It's
really.
so discouraging. You can't even really do the whole scroll motion and all of that. So I realized that okay, this was helping And then I think TikTok was an easy delete because TikTok is the worst because the things you're seeing is before you know it, you be like, I just want to search for this trending thing.
Yeah. And then
In
you spent
in 2 minutes,
20
you're
minutes.
already on the fifth reel and you're doing something with your hands. So I just started to clock that okay, these things are not healthy, right? I guess for me it was easier with TikTok because I wasn't so attached to it. So I let go of TikTok. And then with time, I when I spent time off the internet, then that was when I really realized that my brain just woke up to the fact that life can actually be beautiful without all of that.
Like, was he a major, like a major feeling? Did you really notice
Oh
any
my
difference
god,
before and after?
definitely. I definitely noticed a lot of difference. I felt more satisfied with myself. I felt happier.
Were you happier because you felt the satisfaction of yes, I said I was going to delete this and I deleted it and I did,
No.
or your quality of life was
Oh my
better?
god, quality of life was through the roof.
Wow.
Was at an all-time high because I think one thing that these applications do to us is that like when you're stuck in that state, you get to a point where you don't know what normal is. I think that was where I was that I just did not know. I didn't know that okay, there's a normal state where you're not like very emotionally dysregulated, like you're not very on at an like a state of unrest because that was the constant state I was in. Like, oh, you're always looking for the next thing, you're always scrolling to the next thing, and sometimes you're opening one app, you're not getting enough dopamine spike, so you switch to the
So the
next
oh
app,
god, oh
and
my
I'm like,
goodness,
okay,
this
Pinterest,
cannot be
yeah,
healthy. No.
it's not. So I think over time, I test, doing it gradually led me to a point where I could live without for a couple weeks or so. Like for some
Yeah.
time, I could live without straying, like without going back to these apps and doing whatnot. And I realized that I was so productive. Like all the things that I would often save on the reels and say, oh, I'll do something like this, or this has inspired me to do XYZ. I started to do those XYZ things
Mm.
in real
And
life.
guess what? When you were still on these apps, you couldn't even do anything.
Exactly. You're getting a lot of inspiration, but not doing anything with it. You're just constantly consuming things.
Mm,
It's
mm,
like it's
mm.
like consuming things and saying, "I'll digest it someday," but I
Yeah, but you
never
never
gave
get
given your
there.
time to do that. So the whole adventure got me to start being more productive in real life. Yeah, but like I know this is not everybody's story,
But I
right?
think everybody should
Yeah,
try this, to be honest.
but
I
yeah.
think everybody should try it.
And I'm
And
not saying that I'm not on social media, so if you catch me there, don't don't
of
come for me.
course,
But
I
yeah,
totally understand. And I think everybody should
but
get
it,
what you
it
mean.
taught me to it gave me the ability to regulate. So
So
for
anything,
instance, when
even
I scroll like
consume more
two
of long form.
exactly, that was
Yeah,
what I did for when because that energy needs to go somewhere. You can't just like you can't
you
just
can
stop
just be there.
consuming all of
Yeah,
them all at once and expect to be okay.
yeah,
you be like
yeah,
an addict.
yeah.
So yeah, I was doing more YouTube long
Long
form
form.
content.
Yeah,
Yeah. But now I think what it helped me do is after like 2 or 3 reels, I can stop and say, okay, what was I coming here? What was I doing here in the first place?
yeah,
Yeah. And now it's easier for me to follow conversations. It's easier for me to think for a longer time or to when I see a post online to first calm down and ask myself, is this what's the intent of the poster, yeah? And is this true or not? Because there are a lot of things that people just see and they, oh my god, you start reacting emotionally because you've been in this constant emotional state.
mm,
So now it's a bit easier for me to see it and say, okay, what's the intent of the poster? This person who commented and says, okay, um, so says something maybe really bad about some artist. I'm like, okay, is this is just an opinion. So I can
exactly.
fact check.
Yeah,
It's so unproductive to be swayed, like react emotionally to
to
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
True.
Because at the end of the day, it's just so stupid when you realize that the things that actually need your attention, that needs other passion,
Yeah,
you can't really give energy to them because you expel too much trying to
Oh
chase
gosh,
everything,
I
and I
swear.
I think that's what
And then
the
you are there
internet
for like
does to us
15
these
minutes
days.
going through the comments and yes, I agree with
Oh my
this.
god,
And like, no, this is trash. Yeah, so I totally agree with you.
yeah,
This people might say that it's being too serious, these conversations we're having, but I don't think so. I feel like if you try this and
yeah,
then experience the quality of life that you have afterwards, you would understand why you feel it's
definitely,
for yourself, it's not
yeah,
for anybody else. It takes some work to get to that point, but I think that I want to do that work, and I think that that work would make sense. So, Anna, there is these statistics, right? That 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives, especially high achievers. Yeah. So, have you ever at some point looked at your own achievements and you're like, am I deserving of this? Or have you felt this imposter syndrome at any point in your life?
yeah. I would say so, but I don't think I frame it like deserving. I think what comes to what how it happens is in certain situations. I'm like maybe when I don't feel it. Do I feel it a lot? Okay, so there are situations where
Like,
it
you
feels
believe
like
in yourself a lot, right?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, the
believe in
belief is
yourself is
strong.
strong,
Do
yeah.
you understand?
And I don't think you
So
just got there. I think
over
it
time,
was
yeah,
over
with
time, yeah, with work,
evidence, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
evidence, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I think there were times where it felt like is like am I really doing that well? Like
Mm,
maybe when something is easy, I might feel like okay, am I doing yeah so
mm,
well? And then I
yeah,
think another part where I felt imposter syndrome is like with programming when I like started it. Yeah.
yeah.
That's very that field or that endeavor to like be a software engineer or a
Mm,
programmer or whatever it is, it's one of the most challenging things you can take up. It's something that builds character. And what I realize is there were times where you just be in a constant state of feeling like you're not enough, like you're not doing enough
doing
because
enough
there's so many things, there's so many things
to
to
be
learn.
done, yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, I'm learning about this new framework that just came out, and then next 2 seconds you hear about something, and you're like, oh my god, and then next 2 seconds is like something AI is out, and you need, and you're like, bro, there are times where it just feels overwhelming. But yeah, this is one clear example I can cite that I felt really, really like I wasn't doing enough. Like it's every day you feel that way, and almost everybody feels that way. But one thing that I started to default to was understanding that you don't have to know everything, but you have to have the ability to assimilate
Mm,
things. Like so to learn,
that's a
it's
good
it's a
one.
humbling
Yeah,
one.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
We we have AI now, and then as programmers, right, as
yeah,
people that write code, there is now an easier way to go about it,
yeah,
right? There is AI that can help you get codes together, right?
yeah.
And sometimes when you are trying to use AI tools to write codes, and you now think to yourself, am I scam? Does this make you feel like an imposter?
I think at first it used to. I was like, then what the hell? Like, what's my job? Yeah,
Right.
but with time, I feel when you've built that imposter syndrome is something that takes hold you've when you forget your experience, you forget evidences you've acquired over time, or maybe you've not acquired these evidences, you are more likely to feel it. So in those times where I struggled, especially in the when AI became really powerful, I had to think to myself like, what do you bring to the table? So when I was able to really extract my value to the whole scheme of things, it was easier for me to embrace it and say, okay, you
It's
do
a
this,
tool,
I
yeah.
do this. So I started to see myself more like an architect, more like the systems engineer, the person who lays out the groundwork, the person who sees what the like who conducts the whole affair. Like, okay, you do this, write this,
And then you
not that
check.
way, update it
Yeah,
this way,
yeah,
do
yeah,
this, do
yeah.
it. So it was easier. And then there are times where I saw that AI couldn't really like it wasn't really anticipating scaling and some things like that that I normally would. and or didn't understand the scope of the job to be done to the
Mm,
extent that I did. So in those times, it was easy for me to see that okay, I actually bring value to the table, and then find my own place in the grand scheme of things, which is being that person who conducts AI, not AI using me, like not just taking everything AI
that
gives me,
AI
but
gives you.
rather
Yeah.
that I'm playing a huge role in thinking through the problem and assigning tasks to the AI
Yeah,
to
because
carry
and
out
whether we like it or not, like the next generation might not understand what the world was without
without.
AI.
Yes.
Just like we had Stack Overflow. Before Stack Overflow,
Yeah.
programmers and people that write code would have to go through the codes rigorously to understand
Yeah.
the bugs and fix them. But we had Stack Overflow that everybody would come and you would see answers to your questions, and then we felt like that was the normal, you know.
Yeah.
But now AI is the normal. I think we should just embrace this thing and stop feeling like
Yeah. But I think you should embrace it with,
with caution, of
yeah, with
course. Yeah.
caution, and just one thing I say is don't let you shouldn't treat as a human being your agency is like one of the biggest things.
Mm,
It's your greatest asset, consciousness. So when you're using these tools, make sure you are using the tool, and the
I'm not the
tool is
tool
not controlling you like
controlling
okay,
how.
take it
Yeah,
this
yeah,
way,
yeah,
take it that.
yeah,
You be the one to say I want it this way. That way you're engaging with the material,
yeah.
you're like
Yeah.
really engaging with the problem you're solving, because no matter how much value the AI is contributing, the person who is still able to exercise and critical thinking, who is able to
Mm-hmm.
understand the problem and prefer solutions to that problem, maybe it might not be that you're doing the grunt work, but you're writing the steps, the algorithm it takes to solve that problem.
Which is the work
Yeah,
actually.
so I feel like we should make sure that we preserve that autonomy, that our ability to exercise intelligence or to exert our agency.
Agents. Okay, we are rounding off already. So I want you to go back to 10 years and look at how your state of mind then, right? Were you anxious? Were you worried? What would you say to that person if you were an adult at the time that you think would affect
Okay,
the person's choices?
choices.
Like, what would you say to the person that you know where you are at now,
I understand.
and you know how worried or anxious you were at the time? What would you tell that young person?
I would say it gets so much easier. Perfection is a very complicated metric to chase.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so be patient with yourself, give yourself a lot of grace, be super kind to yourself, or at least you learn along the way to be very kind to yourself, and you see how immense the effects are on you than when you're a bit more, less so, and pushing yourself.
Hmm.
Sometimes pushing yourself too far doesn't really get you the outcome you want. I would say to relax, that everything will work out, and you will actually get to understand what happiness looks
Hmm.
like, and
Hmm.
that's something you'd really get to cherish a lot. I would say enjoy your time with
Oh,
your family, with your
with your
siblings, because
friends and
life is
partners.
really, really
Yeah.
short.
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, I would say, like, really show love to your loved ones. Don't be very bold about it. Don't be scared about it. Don't feel don't feel cringy,
Cringy.
yeah,
Yeah.
about it.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I would say that life is way more beautiful when you try and do it on your own terms than when you try to appeal to what other people like or what other people expect of you. So always keep um that drive to be your best self. Don't try and don't try and play into other people's expectations, or try to play for other people's kindness and likeness of you. Just be as real as possible, be as authentically you as possible, and be crazy. Yeah, be
Oh
very
my
mad.
goodness, yeah. That's
Yeah.
oh my god. That was already getting emotional. I mean, that's the best way to close this talk. Yeah, but before we go, let's play one short game.
Oh,
I would
I'm ready.
say a
Are we
very
playing for points?
no. You're too competitive, man. Okay, so I'll say a very popular saying,
Okay.
and you tell me whether you agree or not, right?
Aye. Let's
The
go.
first one is hard work always pays off.
No, I disagree.
Totally.
Yeah, you can rephrase it and I might agree, but it doesn't
No,
always
this is
pay off.
how it's said. So
Nah,
either
I
agree or not.
disagree.
Okay, money can't buy happiness.
It can sometimes,
Please, it
so
can't sometimes. Oh, I beg, it can't sometimes.
it's tricky. It depends on what we define happiness by. For the
Mm,
person who's always lacked and always wanted to be in a state where they don't lack. I mean, to an extent, you would have happiness, but I don't know. Happiness is a tricky subject.
yeah,
But I
true,
would say yeah,
true, true,
agree and
true.
disagree at the same time. So.
If it's meant to be, it will be.
Agree and disagree. Okay, so
Agree and disagree. Please, there's no agree in that statement.
I want to see my cake and have it. If if it's meant to be, it will be. I think to an extent, I am a firm believer in exerting your agency in life. So if you're seeing something in real life, like something you want not coming your way, grab it. So you make it be.
Yeah, you make it
Yeah.
be. So
But
that's a no, thank you.
no. But there are times where you have to, you do your work and you have to just relax and know that, okay, if this is meant to come to you, it would because you've exerted a lot of effort, you've done some
Mm,
work, and it's just totally out of your hands. So in that
yeah,
case, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So agency, you have to like get agency into the whole equation, and then when you've exerted your
Then
agency,
leave it for
just
the universe.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, totally agree with you. I wanted to say no, but yeah, I totally agree with
like
that. You can do every we've already it's almost the same thing. You
feel
can do everything right and still fail.
yeah,
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 that's yes.
definitely.
And the last one is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, I mean, for some people when they are comparing down, it doesn't seem as bad, but I think yeah,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
a
yeah,
thief
yeah,
of
yeah.
joy, and I don't even think comparing down is productive in any way, which
It's
is a
even
hot take.
worse.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's worse. I think it's as bad
It's as bad.
as
Yeah.
comparing up because like you could compare up to gauge where you are and be inspired. It depends on the emotion you're like experiencing in the cause
Mm.
of comparison, but um, it can be a thief of joy. It's not like it's a definite, it's a given that it would make you sad or
Yeah. Or
feel
happy. Yeah.
inadequate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just think
There's no need
generally,
to
like,
compare.
yeah, you can only compare as feedback. You should compare as feedback to, or you could compare as feedback to like gauge where you are, find inspiration or try and do something. But yeah, at the end of the day, you have to be able to channel a lot of that energy that you're using to compare inwards and say, okay, I mean, this sounds very woo woo, but yeah, I think there's some sense to it.
Yeah.
Just look at where you
I agree
were,
with
look
you.
at where you
So
are,
it's
and
about
just
self.
yeah,
It should be more of the internal
yeah.
and less
If
of
you're
the
not gaining
external.
inspiration from your comparison, I think it's
Trash it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is the end of the episode, and I know you enjoyed it. So please subscribe, like, and share. Tell a friend to tell a friend about this channel. In the comment section below, you can suggest what you want to talk about, what you want us to talk about. And yeah, thank you for watching. And sign out for me.
Thank you.